Good morning, my friends. Let us pray together. Dear Father, this current session was begun with absolute focus and intent. The mission was clear and the objective compelling. Each one gathered here today desired then and desires now to make the state of Kansas an appealing place to live, work, and raise a family. I pray that things accomplished in this chamber the past few months will prove to be a blessing to the people of Kansas. We still have much to complete. Bless that which is set before us, I pray. Allow the decisions we make to bless the good people of our state. Help us to choose words of kindness and grace as we address one another and our work. Guide our minds in such a way that good and productive things are accomplished, and those observing can see we desire to be accountable to them and our tasks. Many are tired in body and spirit. Renew them, Father, with energy that only you can provide. Your word says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest." Today I claim that promise for these legislators as they work to finish well. Many of our families have paid a price as we have diligently invested for the people of Kansas. They've endured long hours of absence without us. At times, it felt we were more concerned about passing laws than spending time with them. Oh Lord, would you encourage each family member today? Might the vitality of their relationships be enhanced as things return to somewhat of a reasonable reality? And then would you bless our local police and first responders? Thank you for giving them to us as instruments of assurance and protection. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
States to the republic which is standing.
Have all members had the opportunity to record their presence? The clerk close the roll and record the attendance. The Speaker recognizes Representative Haskins on a point of personal privilege.
You can, if you want to set it down right there, however you want to do it. See it? Okay. Oh, here, go put it on Vic Stacks over there. You can go ahead and put the other one. You want to put it on the majority leader station? I don't know. You would think that we would be better organized as chess players, right? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, colleagues, and guests. It is with immense pride to recognize the accomplishments of the Washburn Rural High School Chess Club and other Auburn-Washburn Middle School and Elementary School 2024 Kansas State Chess Champions, sponsored by the Kansas Scholastic Chess Association. Their remarkable performance not only showcases their talent and competitive spirit, but also underscores the countless benefits of chess for our youth and community. You see, chess fosters the critical thinking and strategic planning and problem-solving skills crucial for success in academic life. It cultivates qualities like patience and resilience, perseverance in the face of challenge. Moreover, research demonstrates that chess players are often exhibiting the improved academic performance as well as mental agility and physical agility akin to Olympic athletes. In fact, the International Olympic Committee in 100 countries would call these gentlemen and lady athletes. Today, we proudly acknowledge the achievement of 20 Washburn Rural High School chess athletes who participated in 6 tournaments this year. Together, they secured an impressive tally of 3 first place, 2 second place, and 1 third place finish. Joining us in the gallery are freshmen Miles Chapman, juniors Harris Chaudhry, Max Coleman, and club sponsor Mr. Timothy McVeigh. Please stand. On the floor today with me, we have the senior athletes of the Washburn Rural High 2024 State Chess Champions. First, we have Sam Burns, plans to study biology in college. We have Finn Byrne. Finn earned 2nd place in the state championship competition in his division, and he'll be studying computer science at KU. I'm going to ask you to see if you notice a theme of what they will be doing in college. Eli Chapman, raise your hand, will be studying computer science at KU. Chase Eichels will be studying computer science at KU. Nathan the Haskins, handsome Haskins, will be studying computer science at KU. Yacinta Gure plans to study biomedical engineering at UMKC. Tej Patel studying data science and neural behavior after graduation. At Pierce Romine studying history after graduation. Brandon Ross studying business administration with a finance emphasis at Washburn University. And then Anshuman Zochi will be studying economics and international relations in college. Studies have revealed that chess not only enhances cognitive skills, but also fosters a sense of community and spirit of service. Beyond competing in tournaments, what I'm the most proud of is these members of our chess team dedicated their time to tutoring middle and elementary school students within the Auburn-Washburn community. Additionally, they played a pivotal role in initiating chess clubs at Pauline South, Pauline Central, Farley, Indian Hills, Jay Schuyler, and Topeka Collegiate. Joining us in the gallery today are these young chess athletes who exemplify dedication. I am pleased to announce that not only the Washburn Rural High School is was the bearer of great championship, but both the Washburn Rural Middle School and J. Schuyler Elementary School showcase exceptional skills by clinching the 2024 state title in chess for their respective divisions. Furthermore, Indian Hills Elementary School secured the position of state runners-up. Renowned American chess prodigy and world champion Bobby Fischer famously remarked, "Chess is life. You must take your opponent into a deep, dark forest where 2 + 2 = 5. And the path leading out is only wide enough for one." This quote not only encapsulates the essence of all these young mental athletes and remarkable students, but it also represents the spirit of being a Kansan. I invite all the members of the Auburn-Washburn Chess Club to please stand. Colleagues, before we celebrate, I want to note that based on the state's current statistics of retaining our college graduates after 6 years, 6 of these 10 students will not be here in the state of Kansas. I ask you to please rise, not only in recognition of their accomplishment, but to also demonstrate our steadfast commitment to do everything we can to keep these exceptional athletes to ensure the future of Kansas will be a checkmate. Please recognize, please stand. Let's recognize these champions. Mr. Speaker, I request my words be spread across the journal.
Without objection, so ordered. Messages from the Senate. The clerk will read.
The Senate non-concurs in House amendments to House Sub for Senate Bill 287, requests a conference and has appointed Senators Gossage, Erickson, and Petty as conferees on part of the Senate. Senate non-concurs in House amendments to House Substitute for Senate Bill 318, requests a conference and has appointed Senators Warren, Wilbur, and Corson as conferees on part of the Senate. Senate non-concurs in House amendments to Senate Bill 414, requests a conference and has appointed Senators Warren, Wilbur, and Corson as conferees on part of the Senate. Senate non-concurs in House amendments to House Substitute for Senate Bill 419, requests a conference and has appointed Senators Warren, Wilbur, and Corson as conferees on part of the Senate. Senate non-concurs in House amendments to Senate Bill 420, requests a conference and has appointed Senators Warren, Wilbur, and Corson as conferees on part of the Senate. Senate non-concurs in House amendments to Senate Bill 500, requests a conference and has appointed Senators Warren, Wilbur, and Corson as conferees on part of the Senate. The Senate announced the appointment of Senators Baumgardner, Erickson, and Sykes as conferees on House Substitute for Senate Bill 73. The Senate non-concurs in House amendments to Senate Bill 423, requests a conference and has appointed Senators Longbine, Fagg, and Holscher as conferees on part of the Senate. The Senate non-concurs in House amendments to House Substitute for Senate Bill 37, requests a conference and has appointed Senators Longbine, Fagg, and Pittman as conferees on part of the Senate. Senate non-concurs in House amendments to Senate Bill 406, requests a conference and has appointed Senators Longbine, Fagg, and Pittman as conferees on part of the Senate. Senate accedes to the request of the House for a conference on House Bill 2551 and has appointed Senators Billinger, Clays, and Petty as conferees on part of the Senate. Senate accedes to the request for the House from the House for a conference on the Senate substitute for House Bill 2124 and has appointed Senators Thompson, Cluse, and Faust Godot as conferees on part of the Senate. Senate accedes to the request of the House for a conference on House Bill 2358 and has appointed Senators Thompson, Cluse, and Faust Godot as conferees on part of the Senate. Senate accedes to the request of the House for a conference on House Bill 2711 and has appointed Senators Longbine, Fagg, and Pittman as conferees on part of the Senate. The Senate accedes to the request of the House for a conference on House Bill 2715 and has appointed Senators Longbine, Fagg, and Holscher as conferees on part of the Senate. Senate accedes to the request of the House for a conference on House Bill 2787 and has appointed Senators Longbine, Fagg, and Holscher as conferees on part of the Senate. Senate accedes to the request of the House for a conference on House Bill 2583 and has appointed Senators Warren, Wilburn, and Corson as conferees on part of the Senate. Senate accedes to the request of the House for a conference on Senate substitute for House Bill 2144 and has appointed Senators Warren, Wilburn, and Corson as conferees on part of the Senate. Senate accedes to the request of the House for a conference on substitute House Bill 2570 and has appointed Senators Erickson, Dietrich, and Reddy as conferees on part of the Senate. The Senate accedes to the request of the House for a conference on House Bill 2527 and has appointed Senators Fagg, Peterson, and Francisco as conferees on part of the Senate. Senate accedes to the request of the House for a conference on House Bill 2588 and has appointed Senators Fagg, Peterson, and Francisco as conferees on part of the Senate. Senate accedes to the request of the House for conference on House Bill 2547 and has appointed Senators Gossage, Erickson, and Petty as conferees on part of the Senate. Senate accedes to the request of the House for a conference on House Bill 2784 and has appointed Senators Gossage, Erickson, and Petty as conferees on part of the Senate. The Senate accedes to the request of the House for a conference on Senate substitute for House Bill 2047 and has appointed Senators Peck, McGinn, and Ware as conferees on part of the Senate. Senate accedes to the request of the House for a conference on House Bill 2607 and has appointed Senators Peck, McGinn, and Ware as conferees on part of the Senate.
The Speaker recognizes Majority Leader Croft for a motion to a seat.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Senate did not concur on House amendments to House substitute for Senate Bill 37 and requested a conference. I move the House accede to the request of the Senate and that a conference committee be appointed.
You've all heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Motion passes. As conferees on part of the House, the Speaker appoints Representatives Hoheisel, Clifford, and Shu. Representative Croft for a motion.
The Senate did not concur on House amendments to House substitute for Senate Bill 287 and requested a conference. I move the House accede to the request of the Senate that a conference committee be appointed.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion passes. As conferees on part of the House, the Speaker appoints Representatives Landwehr, Epley, and Susan Ruiz. Majority Leader Croft for motion to accede.
The Senate did not concur on House amendments to substitute Senate Bill 318 and requested a conference. I move the House accede to the request of the Senate and that a conference committee be appointed.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Motion passes. As conferees on part of the House, the Speaker appoints Representatives Owen, Eric Smith, and Carmichael. Majority Leader Croft for motion to accede.
The Senate did not concur on House amendments to Senate Bill 406 and requested a conference. I move the House accede to the request of the Senate and that a conference committee be appointed.
You've all heard the motion. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Motion passes. As conferees on part of the House, the Speaker appoints Representatives Hoheisel, Clifford, and Shu. Majority Leader Croft for motion to accede.
The Senate did not concur on House amendments to Senate Bill 414 and requested a conference. I move the House accede to the request of the Senate and that a conference committee be appointed.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion passes. As conferees on part of the House, the Speaker appoints Representatives Owens, Eric Smith, and Carmichael. Majority Leader Croft for motion to accede.
The Senate did not concur on House amendments to House substitute for Senate Bill 419 and requested a conference. I move the House accede to the request of the Senate that a conference committee be appointed.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Motion passes. As conferees on part of the House, the Speaker appoints Representatives Owens, Eric Smith, and Carmichael. Majority Leader Croft for motion to accede.
The Senate did not concur on House amendments to House substitute for Senate Bill 420 and requested a conference. I move the House accede to the request of the Senate and that a conference committee be appointed.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Motion passes. As conferees on part of the House, the Speaker appoints Representatives Owens, Eric Smith, and Carmichael. Majority Leader Croft for motion to accede.
The Senate did not concur on House amendments to Senate Bill 423 and requested a conference. I move the House accede to the request of the Senate and that a conference committee be appointed.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Motion passes. As conferees on part of the House, the Speaker appoints Representatives Sutton, Penn, and Neighbor. Majority Leader Croft for motion to accede.
The Senate did not concur on House amendments to Senate Bill 500 and requested a conference. I move the House accede to the request of the Senate that a conference committee be appointed.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Motion passes. As conferees on part of the House, the Speaker appoints Representatives Humphreys, Lewis, and Osmond. Are there announcements? The speaker recognizes Representative Adam Smith for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House and Senate Tax Conference Committee was scheduled to meet at 11. There is a time change. We'll be meeting at 1 o'clock in room 112 North. Again, that's Tax Conference, 1 o'clock today, 112 North. Thank you.
Representative Stogsdill.
Democrats will be having agenda meeting at 1:30 this afternoon, 152 South, 1:30.
Representative Riley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Tomorrow morning, 7 a.m., we will continue the story of Daniel, talking about the 1,290 days after the Antichrist. So hope to see you tomorrow morning, room 142.
Representative Hoheisel.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Financial Institutions and Pensions Conference Committee will be meeting at 1:30 at 144 South on all bills and conference. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Sutton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Insurance Committee, we will be continuing our discussions in conference at 11 o'clock this morning, 118 North. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Rajas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Agriculture and Natural Resources Conference Committee will meet after the first recess of the second chamber in room 118 North to discuss any conferenceable bills. Thank you.
Representative Concanon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Child Welfare will conference with Senate Judiciary at 1:30 today in room 582. This at 1:30, did I say that? And this is regarding Senate substitute for House Bill 2070, which was also once upon a time Senate Bill 232. And this is the office of establishing the Office of the Child Advocate.
Representative Waymaster.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Appropriations and Senate Ways and Means will resume Conference Committee in 548 South at 11:45 this morning. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Will Carpenter.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. Fed and State, House and Senate will meet on adjournment of the second session. So right after the Senate adjourns over there. Thank you. All bills in conference.
Representative Berquist.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Conference Committee for Local Government will be held in 118. Was in a previous room, 118 at 1:30 this afternoon. Thank you.
Representative Delperdang.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We will continue the Utilities Conference Committee in room 281 at 1 p.m. Hopefully you're wrapping things up today. Thank you.
Representative Proctor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The House Committee on Elections and Senate Fed and State will be conferencing in room 144 South at 1 p.m. today on all bills in conference.
Representative Wassinger.
Legislative Modernization Conference Committee will meet at 5 o'clock today in room 144 South.
Representative Owens.
Organizational meeting for the Joint Committee on Corrections and Juvenile Justice today at noon, 218 North. For those members, lunch will be provided. Thank you.
Representative Tarwater. Seeing no further announcements, the speaker recognizes the majority leader for a motion to recess.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Republicans, we will calendar at 1:30 in the old Supreme Court. Mr. Speaker, I move the House stand in recess until 2 p.m.
You've all heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. The House is in recess. The House will be in order. Messages from the Senate, the clerk will read.
Announcing adoption of SCR 1620. The Senate non-concurs in House amendments to Senate Bill 410, requests a conference, and has appointed Senators Peterson, Cluse, and Corson as conferees and part of the Senate. Senate non-concurs in House amendments to Senate Bill 333, requests a conference, and has appointed Senators Erickson, Dietrich, and Reddy as conferees and part of the Senate. Senate accedes to the request of the House for a conference on House Bill 2614, and has appointed Senators Thompson, Cluse, and Faust-Cudeau as conferees and part of the Senate. Senate accedes to the request of the House for a conference on House Bill 2618, and has appointed Senators Thompson, Cluse, and Faust-Cudeau as conferees and part of the Senate. The Senate concurs in House amendments to Senate Bill 462 and requests return of the bill. Senate Concurrent Resolution Number 1620, a concurrent resolution approving the creation of a port authority in Wyandotte County and Kansas City, Kansas.
The speaker recognizes Majority Leader Croft for a motion to accede.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Senate did not concur on House amendments to Senate Bill 333 and requested a conference. I move the House accede to the request of the Senate and that a conference committee be appointed.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye. All
Aye.
opposed, no. Motion passes. As conferees on part of the House, the speaker appoints Representatives Tarwater, Bourgeon, and Probst. Majority Leader Croft for a motion to accede.
The Senate did not concur on House amendments to Senate Bill 410 and requested a conference. I move the House accede to the request of the Senate and that a conference committee be appointed.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Motion passes. As conferees on part of the House, the speaker appoints Representatives Francis, Neely, and Ballard. The speaker recognizes Representative Will Carpenter for a motion to concur in conference on House Bill 2358.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. Senate made a few changes to 2358. We visited with them about that, and we concurred with those changes. So with that, I'd make a motion we concur.
As a reminder, if the motion fails, the bill will remain in conference. Is there discussion? The speaker recognizes Representative Hoy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the Senate committee, they made some technical changes to improve the bill, and on the Senate floor, they removed the civil liability immunity piece, and we decided that we can accept the Senate's position, so I'll be supporting the bill. Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, Representative, you may close on your motion.
Thank you. I close.
This constitutes final action on House Bill 2358. The clerk will open the roll and you may record your vote. The clerk will close the roll. Seeing 10 hands, call House is in order. Doorman will secure the doors. Clerk will read the roll.
Representatives Carlin, Collins, Concanon, Hauser, Jacobs, Johnson, Ousley, Penn, Sutton, and Thomas.
Representative Sutton votes aye. Representative Penn votes aye. Oh, Representative Landwehr votes no. Seeing 10 hands, call still in order. Representative Estes is excused. Representative Concanon votes aye. Representative Johnson votes aye. Representative Ousley votes aye. Representative Carlin votes aye. Not seeing 10 hands, call is raised. Does any member desire to explain his or her vote? Does any member for an explanation? No. Does any member desire to change his or her vote? Representative Penn votes no. Any further changes? Seeing none, with 110 having voted in favor and 11 against the passage of House Bill 2358, the same having received a constitutional majority, the bill is hereby declared passed. The clerk will record the vote. The Speaker recognizes Representative Owens for a motion to concur in conference on House Bill 2583.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 2583, we did a non-concur on yesterday. Upon further review, recognizing the changes were very minimal to the House, we're just going to go ahead and concur in conference. This is the bill that has to do with harming or injuring a police dog. It passed this chamber 107-4. The only changes that were made other than technical changes involved the Senate changed the definition of a police dog and police horse So police dog means any dog that is owned or the service of which is employed by a law enforcement agency. So just broadened it a little bit to ensure that, that all the dogs in the service of our law enforcement are covered, and the same applies to a police horse. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I move that the House concur on Senate amendments to House Bill 2583, which is in conference, and I'll stand for questions.
For discussion, the speaker recognizes Representative Carmichael.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate the Chair of Corrections explanation. I might also, though, indicate to you that the changes made by the Senate do, in fact, broaden the impact of this legislation. As we originally passed the bill out, it only applied to animals that were owned or, quote, employed by. And I assume that's an attempt, by the way, to cover horses, for example, that may be owned by individual officers, owned or employed by, and principally being used, or words to that effect, for law enforcement purposes. I'm abbreviating. The Senate, for reasons I don't understand, took out the requirement that the animals had to be used for law enforcement purposes. So as I explained to my caucus, presumably the sheriff's old dog Bo, if he sleeps down at the sheriff's office and one day when he's wandering back the backyard, somebody kicks him, then he's treated as if he were a dog actively engaged in law enforcement. That's the explanation of the good work of the Senate. If you voted for the bill before, you probably want to vote for it now. If you voted against the bill before, you probably want to vote against it now. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Seeing no further discussion, Representative, you may close.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And just to specifically clarify that change, police dog means any dog that is owned, comma, or the service of which is employed, comma, by a law enforcement agency, not agent. So it does apply, that same definition applies to police dogs as well as police horses. So with that, Mr. Speaker, I close and move my motion.
This constitutes final action on House Bill 2583. The clerk will open the roll and you may record your vote. Has every member had the opportunity to record their vote? The clerk will close the roll. Does any member desire to explain his or her vote? Does any member desire to change his or her vote? Representative Resman votes aye. Any further changes? Seeing none, with 115 having voted in favor and 6 against the passage of House Bill 2583, the same having received a constitutional majority, the bill is hereby declared passed. The clerk will record the vote. The speaker recognizes Representative Croft for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Pursuant to House Rule 2311, I move that an emergency be declared and how HR 6045 be advanced to the order of business, final action on bills and concurrent resolutions, subject to amendment and debate.
You've all heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion carries. For the purpose of carrying HR 6045, the speaker recognizes Representative Will Carpenter.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. This resolution comes to us from the Joint State and Tribal Compact. We had a meeting this Monday morning, 9 o'clock, and the committee authorized the Iowa tribe to enter into a pact to do sports betting. And that's about all it is. I could answer some questions.
For discussion, the speaker recognizes Representative Haswood.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. HR 6045 does exactly what was previously stated. It pretty much mirrors Prairie Band Potawatomi Nation's gaming, sports wagering, and betting language as well. It updates and capitalizes different languages, and each section is provided and to reflect that update. Section 2 does 4 things. It removes sports wagering as a form of political prohibited form of betting, authorizes sports betting as a form of Class 3 gaming, controls a trigger provision that would authorize remote sports wagering, listing restriction on gaming credits that shall be limited to checks, wire transfers, bank cards, bank money machines. Section 3 goes a little bit more into depth on adding new definitions for sports events, sports wagering, and thereon so forth. This was passed out unanimously out of the Joint Committee of State Tribal Relations, and it was passed out this morning from the Senate. Thank you, and I urge your support.
Seeing no further discussion, Representative, you may close.
Thank you very much, and thank you for doing all the things that I should have done when I was up here. I close.
This constitutes final action on H.R. 6045. The clerk will open the roll and you may record your vote. Has every member had the opportunity to record their vote? The clerk will close the roll. Does any member desire to explain his or her vote? Does any member desire to change his or her vote? Seeing none, with 101 having voted in favor and 20 against the passage of H.R. 6045, the same having received a constitutional majority, the bill is hereby declared passed. The clerk will record the vote. Representatives Waymaster, Hoffman, and Helgerson. Hold on, belay my last. Representatives Waymaster, Hoffman, and Helgerson are appointed to replace Representatives Sutton, Penn, and Neighbor as conferees on Senate Bill 18. Representatives Landwehr, Epley, and Susan Ruiz are appointed to replace Representatives Sutton, Penn, and Neighbor as conferees on House Bill 2531. Representatives Will Carpenter, Kessler, and Hoy are appointed to replace Representatives Sutton, Penn, and Neighbor as conferees on House Bill 2532. Representative Howe, Sanders, and Woodard are appointed to replace Representative Hoheisel, Clifford, and Shu as conferees on House Bill 2105. Are there announcements? The Speaker recognizes Representative Garber.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Tomorrow at noon on the second floor north is the last hymn sing. And since my office assistant is retiring, there's going to be a new piano player next year. So come and join us if you have time. Thank you.
Representative Concanon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So child welfare will continue negotiations with Senate Judiciary on House Bill 2070. We have not confirmed the room number yet. We were in 582 North. So if it's going to be different than that, I'll leave a sign outside of that door as to where we will be at 3:30. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Christy Williams.
All right, we are going to go ahead and continue working on our Senate House substitute for Senate Bill 387 right after adjournment here in 159 South.
Representative Tarwater.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Want to remind, we have a conference committee in room 144 right after Senate adjourn or recesses. And also tomorrow morning, we have a conference committee with all conferenceable bills between our Commerce Committee and the Senate tomorrow in room 218 North at approximately 10:30 in the morning.
Representative Waymaster.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Appropriations and Senate Ways and Means will resume our conference at 2:30 and 548 South.
Representative Humphries.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Judiciary Conference Committee will be meeting the second recess of the second chamber. I don't know if the Senate has recessed yet, but immediately after this, in room 512 North on House Bill 2144 and other bills in conference.
Representative Rajas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We believe the Senate has just recessed, so Agriculture, Natural Resources Conference Committee will continue answering the Senate's questions, those poor senators. So we will do that after the second adjournment, which we believe has happened, or second recess, or possible adjournment. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Proctor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We were not able to meet with Fed and State, the Elections Committee, at 1 o'clock, so we are going to be convening at 4 o'clock, 144 South, to conference on House Bills 2614 and 2618.
Representative Landwehr.
Thank you. Health and Human Services will conference in 142 South on all bills in conference committee upon recess of the second chamber.
Representative Will Carpenter.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. Fed and State, Senate, and House will conference tomorrow morning at 8:30. I don't know the room number yet, but we'll conference at 8:30 tomorrow morning. I'll let you know. Thank you.
Representative Poskin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Johnson County delegation will have a special luncheon tomorrow at noon in 281 North to honor the retirement of Senator Rob Olson. 281 North at noon. Thank you.
Representative Adam Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House and Senate Tax Conference will continue at 3 o'clock p.m. Down in 112 North. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Minority Leader Vic Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I know that here in a day or two, we'll be getting a more extensive report on the very successful auction for the Special Olympics last night. There were some fabulous deals on those that participated in the auction, but our tax chairman displayed his cunning for a good deal. If you haven't talked to him about the deal he closed last night, I know he would like to discuss it.
Seeing no further announcements, the Speaker recognizes the Majority Leader for a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Again, Republicans, we will not calendar in the morning. Mr. Speaker, I move the House adjourn until Wednesday, April 3rd at 10 a.m.
You've heard the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion carries. We are adjourned.